everybody has their Sidney Poitier. They have Denzel. Has Will surpassed Denzel in our eyes, right? Denzel was the GOAT in our eyes. Sidney Poitier for our parents and maybe grandparents. But is Will the GOAT?
In acting?
In acting.
No.
What?
No. You think it's close? It's not even close.
Really?
Yes. No.
Speak on it. Tell me.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg. Join my co-host, Buff and Razi. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
There's nothing like something big happening right after you finish recording your show for the week. So we recorded last Sunday afternoon, and then that night. So everybody and their mama is weighing in on that. I'm almost certain at some point we'll discuss it. So real quick, I'll just say there was another mass shooting earlier this morning in Sacramento. 6 dead, 10 hurt. Last I read, there was a manhunt for the killer. This is 1 month after they had a shooting that killed, I think, 5 kids, or at least hurt 5 kids. And I said on this show a while ago, I made a post saying how I no longer care because America doesn't care. And I had a few people come at me saying, how could you say that? But prove me wrong. Like, show me what happens after this shooting. I'm almost willing to bet my mortgage nothing will. And that's exactly what I meant. America doesn't care. It's barely even major news now. It's like a bottom scroll on your TV. 6 people dead, and they keep it moving. So until we actually do care and give a damn, it's hard for me to care and give a damn, because nothing ever gets done other than thoughts and prayers.
Love that, bro. It's so sad that we have a mass shooting and we just move on now. Like, society just moves on. It's gotten to the point where sometimes, depending on how big it is, you don't even get the mass hopes and prayers and all that anymore. It's gotten to be that bad.
That's true. You don't even get the hashtag Sacramento strong. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got to be in the high double digits to get the hashtag.
Yep. So, growing up in Mobile, we had shootings, right? I mean, we lost a couple people while we were in high school. But they happened off of the school grounds. We had a couple of shootings happen on the school grounds during games and pep rallies and things like that. But and I guess that's why we're a little numb to it, unless it hits those double digits, right? Because it's like that's day to day for us, or growing up, that was day to day for us, and it's super duper sad to me that society is just like, that's life.
But
there's nothing we can do.
They categorize those the same. I mean, sadly, like drive-bys and all those things were part of criminal activity, and we kind of, I think the average American groups that into those type of things, like it's crime. These mass shootings we're talking about, people have these innocent bystanders, people going into their job and shooting somebody coming on the campus just because it's not drug related. It wasn't because a fight broke out. It's because, there was somebody who might have had a mental health issue or can't cope with their daily lives, whatever. And there's a different stigma behind that. When was the last time you heard America take a break for a drive-by? They're still happening, but we don't categorize those as the same thing. Mass shootings are usually, they're different, I guess, because of the innocent bystanders. I don't want to make this a black and white issue, but maybe there's something to do with that as well, or the caliber of the victims, or I don't know what it is, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Buff, you talked about the slap heard around the world. So I'm sure, like you said, we'll probably end up talking about that in the show. But I just want to say Disney has done it again. Moonnight came out, and I'm loving it. One thing I will say, Disney needs to get better at either dropping 1 or 2 episodes to start a show, or they got to start them off a little bit better, because the first episode was very slow. It wasn't super exciting. It had some action in it, but I really think it's going to be one of my more favorite shows coming out of this Disney MCU group that they have going on. Moon Knight, for everybody who doesn't know, the best way I could kind of describe him is the Batman of the Marvel universe, but where Batman kind of plays this double life and he knows that it's happening. Moon Knight is freaking crazy. He has multiple personalities. They fight for, who's going to actually be working and up front, and depending on what personality is leading, you're going to get a totally different outcome of what happens. So you get more than just Batman being Batman with the gravelly voice and beating up people. They have that portion of it, but they also have a super secret agent type guy. Then they have kind of a scared guy that's just fumbling through and like, oh my god, what's going to happen? And there's a couple other personalities. Hopefully they'll get to them. And then there's the whole Egyptian mythology that it surrounds. So it's just a really, really dope character for anybody who doesn't know the character. So go out, check it out. I think you'll really like the show, especially if you like kind of dramas with a little bit of action in there. I think it gives you a little bit of both. So that's all I got, man.
I know nothing of Moon Knight, but I enjoyed that first episode. I didn't even think it started off that slow, to be honest. Maybe the first 10, 15 minutes, but after that, I was like, okay, I'm digging this.
Yeah, it wasn't that it was necessarily slow. It was just kind of like, what?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
What's going on? So I think the bewilderment made it more exciting. If it was a character we were more familiar with, it would have been slower. But because you're trying to figure out like what the heck is going on, okay, glass, all right, okay, what?
Yeah.
And so the whole time you're just kind of trying to follow along. I had to watch a couple of videos to make myself more familiar with the character and understand exactly what was going on, because there was a lot of hitting things in that first episode. Moon Knight and Marvel will probably be pissed because you compare them to Batman, and they're really trying to differentiate themselves from that Batman stigma. So you should know that, Razi.
I definitely understand that they want to be different. For the layman out there, the people that just don't know anything about these characters, I think that's the best way to kind of put it. He's street level, fights bad guys, but he probably is closer to Deadpool than he is to Batman. If you can kind of compare him to anybody, yeah.
Well, the main character. And it's kind of hard to. That's kind of weird. It's a weird thing to say. But I think that's why I was watching one video and they said that's why they kind of started off with him rather than the billionaire character, because it makes it the parallels to Batman kind of are thrown at you when you come up with this kind of billionaire playboy type person. So they stayed away from the Mark character and went with this other character to kind of say, let's take it. And which, with the way the show goes, it could all be a facade and he's really the billionaire anyway. And he just, he went missing in action for a couple of months. But 2 things. One, I'm going to, since we're on the movie train, April 15th, the Fantastic Beasts and the Legends of I gotta make sure I have the correct title. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore drops on April 15th.
Yeah.
I'm a Harry Potter fan. Die hard. So I'm excited about that. I might try to catch the movie the day it comes out. But I think that is Good Friday. So people will be out of school. And, I don't like being around a lot of people. So I'm excited about that. I'm hoping this is one of the better movies out of that genre or this trilogy they have for the Fantastic Beasts. We shall see.
Yeah, I haven't been super impressed with the Fantastic Beasts trilogy or that series. Like, it's not Harry Potter. And it's a very different movie. So,
but I think that's the problem, because you want it to be Harry Potter and people are looking for more ties to Harry Potter, that it just it sets the bar too high. If you guys could see Buff's face, he is so not entertained by any of this right now.
I'm just listening.
But did you guys catch any basketball yesterday?
I watched the last minute of Duke, North Carolina.
It was a really good game.
Yeah.
So initially, I really don't have a dog in the fight, but I always pick teams halfway through the game or whatever, or Z's gonna ask me at some point who are you pulling for, so I have to make a decision. So I initially started with Duke, but then I just remembered that UNC's coach is not even that old. He's their first black head coach in his first season, and he just went to the Final Four and is now in the national championship game. So of course, you know how it goes. We root for everything black. So congrats, Coach Hubert Davis, for being
including his wife.
I think he's a fourth head coach that was a former Duke player. Former UNC player, but the first black head coach for UNC. So I would love for him to take them back. He's done some great stuff and go win a championship in his first season. Because if you follow college basketball, UNC, when it comes to being competitive, not players, but competitive, has been pretty irrelevant for the last few seasons. So for him to come back and turn it around, that's huge. So shout out Coach Hubert Davis.
Nice. So the March Madness, that's where the Giants of New York kick the ball versus the Packers of Green Bay.
Oh Lord, you're gonna get some people with that one. You're gonna get some pushback with that one. All right, Razi, is young Sophia available?
She is, and she is ready. So hold on one second.
Hey, Sophie.
Hello.
Hey, Ollie.
She got company.
Hey.
We got Eli here.
Oh, Eli. What's going on, Eli? So, Sophie, before you begin, can you say hello, Portia, and the rest of the listeners? I am back.
Hello, Portia. I am back.
All right. She just waved them out. Excuse yourselves.
I need silence.
What kind of streets do ghosts hunt?
What kind of streets?
Yeah.
Hollow street, dark alley, boulevard.
No.
Ghost towns.
Dead ends.
Ah.
Yeah.
I had tobacco jokes in case they got it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sophie.
Good to see you
Have
again.
Have an amazing day at your event.
I love that little girl. So I'll kick it off so we can get this out the way. We're gonna talk about, and I'm not even gonna really talk about the slap per se. So let's go ahead. We will. So I'm gonna start off by asking you guys, what are your thoughts on the slap? The three people involved: Chris, Will, and Jada. Just really quick.
It was a week.
And for the listeners who have been under a rock and don't know what we're talking about, at the Oscars, Chris Rock made a joke about Jada, saying, because she has short hair, saying that she should be in G.I. Jane 2. Will laughed, looked at Jada. Jada wasn't laughing. I guess that made him snap. Will walked up, slapped Chris Rock, and then went back and sat down, and then proceeded to yell, "Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth." So... Twice. Yeah, he yelled twice. So Chris Rock didn't retaliate at that point. He literally said, Will Smith just slapped the taste out of my mouth or something, the shit out of me, something like that. So, that brings everybody to today.
Appreciate it, Razi. I just assume that our listeners, because they're up on Three Brothers, will be up on the rest of the goings zones in the world. But appreciate the recap. So I know people have their almost like their favorite. They're team Jada, team Chris, team Wil. Quickly, what are your thoughts on that? But my bigger question, we'll go there, and then I'm going to follow up real quick. So who wants to start off? What are your thoughts?
My thought on the slap was it was weak in all aspects and phases. It was weak. The physical slap was weak. Chris Rock is like 5'9", 165 pounds. Matter of fact, it was so weak that I thought it was a skit, because I'm like, that's not how somebody reacts after they get slapped. Like, his arms were behind his back. Wil had a full stride with all the force he wanted to use, and I could barely tell it was real. So it was weak. The reason why he did it was weak, and I'm sure we'll get into that, but that's just my initial thought. It was weak.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wil wanted to make a point without hurting him. So I think it was weak on purpose. I don't think he was really there to really hurt him. It was get his attention, keep my wife's name out your mouth, stop saying that. But I think it was a testament, or it was a statement to the world, not necessarily just to Chris. I really think that's what it was. And that's why when I was describing it, I said that he broke. I think it's the weight of everything that he has been going through. But it was that straw that broke the camel's back. And so while I think it was unwarranted, I really feel like it wasn't real well thought out. I get it. I understand. I understand sometimes. It's like when you yell at your kids, right? It's like you're trying to do your best. You want to ignore them or coddle them or tell them in a calm voice that they need to do something, but sometimes you just got to yell at your kids. You got to put your dad voice on, as we call it. And I think that's what it was. I think it was Wil's breaking point, and that's when he did it. And I don't think Wil thought it was a bad joke. Most people probably didn't think it was a bad joke. It wasn't great, but it wasn't something that was slap worthy, right? Until he saw the hurt on Jada's face, until he saw Jada like uncomfortable with it. And so it's one of those things that, defending your lady or whatever, you might not make the best decisions. I think he just made a really bad decision on it. It didn't make sense. And now he's got to deal with it. He was defending his family and his lady. Yeah, he was.
His lady. He wasn't defending his lady.
Okay. All right. I think so.
No, that's my bad. I talked over your answer. That's my bad. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was done.
So actually, that's perfect, because we all have our opinions on what happened. Wil was wrong for putting his hands on somebody else in the discussion. Chris Rock said a joke that offended somebody, and unfortunately, we're in a world that people resort to violence when they don't know how to deal with the emotions that come with it. Neither one of y'all mentioned Jada, but I see her name coming up a lot. You said Jada. You said Jada was hurt. Maybe, I'll get back on her. We'll bring it back up to her later. But I just thought it was just not even a bad look, because I know, Byron, you brought up you made a comment about a lot of black people saying it made black people look bad. I can care less about that, right? And sometimes that's your initial reaction, but then I think we're wired to care what other people think. And then we have to kind of take a step back and like, man, screw that. My real question is, it wasn't Wil, Jada, or Chris Rock that, to me, was the big story. It was the public. It was our friends and family's opinions, and how everybody kind of, either they came to Wil, to some, Wil is a knight in shining armor. To others, Jada is just a victim in all this. And then some think she's a devil. Some think Chris Rock is a devil for picking on her because of her medical condition. What did you take from the comments? Because I don't know Chris Rock, Jada, or Wil Smith, but I know our listeners. I know our friends and family and the people around them that were making this opinion, where it became about, protecting black women and black men, attacking black Chris Rock because he attacked a black woman and he made a special about hair and he knows how important hair is to them and all these other things. And then if people question Jada, it became, oh, now men are attacking Jada. How did she get into this? Like, it was a bunch of conversations. And that was the most interesting, albeit most disappointing part about this whole situation for me.
Razi, you want to go first this time?
I will. So I think it was just hilarious, the think pieces, right?
Oh,
so now people are sociologists. People, they went from being epidemiologists to sociologists. Oh wait, they were Russian experts somewhere in there before then, right? So it's man, look, folks want to have an opinion. Folks like to talk, but I'm fine with that. I'm definitely fine with that. I don't think that it was as serious as everybody was trying to make it. Like, everybody's trying, they're hotepping and stretching to where, oh, now this is a testament to Wil protecting all black women or all black men protecting all black women and this and other. I'm like, that is their situation. Wil was way over the top in his reaction, right? Wil has the platform to be able to say, hey, that joke wasn't good. We need to make sure that we're thinking about the person when you tell jokes about it, yada, yada, yada. He could have made Chris Rock look bad and probably would have done a lot more than going out slapping him. Now he has to deal with fallout and everything like that. So our listeners, the folks in the family, it was funny to me, truthfully. I didn't mind it. We're gonna talk about everything. Why would we question people talking about this and doing their think pieces on this? But then the March Madness comes around and everybody has a conversation about that. Everybody wants the armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback after Sunday night football. It's no different than that.
Well, I think it was
Go ahead.
It was funny because it was like, it was battles, dude. Like, it wasn't just like, I think this. It was, I don't rock with you because now, see, I expect that from you. You don't like black women anyway. Right. It was kind of like, no, it was a joke. That's what was so polarizing, was the fact that people were like attacking. It was so, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion, and you don't talk about the slap.
Yeah.
Those are the things you don't talk about.
Will Smith. Will Smith and Jada are up there with Beyonce and Jay-Z for black culture. And I think that's probably why it's so polarizing for everybody, because they do look at them like, for a lot of people, Will and Jada are relationship goals. I don't know why, but hey, whatever. And so they're looking at that like that's what they want from their man. Maybe not for you to go out and slap somebody, but for you to stand up for your woman and say, hey, stop. And we've talked about that. We've talked about how if somebody said something to our wife or whatever, we'd probably be like, hey, yo, bro, not now. You need to stop that. Like, we're not the guys that's gonna come on, babe, hurry up, put our arm around and walk away real quick. That's not us. And so I definitely can see Will saying that. And just because it was on live TV and it's the Oscars and he's a celebrity or whatever, like I said, that was his breaking point. And he did what we would normally do in something like that. If Reggie was heckling Our Lady from Nutty Professor, we would probably be like, Reggie, stop. We'd probably be like, all right, that's enough, bro. And I think that's what Will was doing. He just went too far.
Well, I gotta disagree with people thinking Will and Jada are relationship goals. I've never seen them referred to as that. In fact, I've seen them the butt of so many jokes that's partly why he had a so-called breaking point. I say he wasn't defending Jada because I feel like he was defending his ego more than anything. He has been subjected to a lot of memes and jokes. And the reason why I almost know for certain he wasn't defending her is because he laughed at the joke also. He thought it was funny. Mm-hmm. And then he saw her reaction. And it's like, once again, I'm about to be made to look a certain kind of way. And that's what made him snap.
Did her reaction, what was your opinion? Describe her reaction to me. Did she look hurt to you?
She didn't look hurt. She looked angry. She looked angry
or uncomfortable.
Yeah, and like Oh, so you think that's funny? That type of look on her face. But I Razi mentioned all the think pieces and stuff, and that was a little bit annoying, especially because everybody started their think piece off with, this is my final thing I have to say on Wil and Jada. Or this is the only thing I'm going to say on, man, just whatever. But that was annoying. But I see now people are reaching way back in the past. Like anybody that's defending Chris Rock, I think like Jim Carrey, I guess he did something as far as sexual harassment. I don't know what he did, but anybody that's defending Chris Rock, people are digging like 15, 20 years ago on what something bad they did and how they need to shut up. People have dug up an Arsenio Hall video where Wil Smith is making fun of somebody with a bald head. And that's significant because the audience felt uncomfortable, so uncomfortable that he said he had to do pretty much what Chris Rock did. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. You know what I mean? So should that band member have ran across the stage and slapped Wil Smith? And since we're digging in the past, Jada Pinkett has played a character in A Low Down Dirty Shame where she made fun of Muhammad Ali, who had a real disease at the time, when she said Muhammad Ali can't spell Muhammad Ali. So if we're doing it like this, did Layla Ali have the right to then on-site Jada Pinkett and whoop for making fun of her father, who was going through something because of the punches he suffered during his career? It's a slippery slope. You go to a comedy show, matter of fact, I've heard so many people say, if I go to a comedy show, I'm not sitting on the front row because I don't want to get roasted. That's a part of the act. Chris Rock is not a stranger to Wil Smith and Jada. To me, that's different than Razi and Jason, me and Tabitha, Ferg and Z, and some stranger just comes up and starts saying something to one of our wives. They know him. They know he's a comedian. And matter of fact, seconds before the G.I. Jane joke, she was laughing at a joke he said about Wil. Regina Hall made a joke about their marriage earlier in the show. But everybody seems to feel like that this was the breaking point. Chris Rock has reportedly said he didn't even know she had alopecia. So, again, I was a little disappointed in so many women feeling like he was defending black women, and that's how you defend black women. What imminent physical danger was Jada Pinkett in? Absolutely none. He made a joke. If Wil wanted to yell what he yelled, I think he would have got his point across without the physical violence. He could have even went up there like he did and say, hey, man, look, she's going through this. We not appreciating that. Man, he would have universally been praised for that. But for what he did, I hate bullying. And to me, that was a bully move. There are several comedians that I can think of that I feel like he would not have attempted that with. Chris Rock is significantly smaller than him. He saw a mark. Chris Rock has routinely said that he's not a fighter, how he can't fight, and how much he used to get beat up. And I feel like Wil knew he could get away with that while trying to make himself look good in front of his wife. It had absolutely nothing to do with protecting black women, protecting his wife. He was protecting his ego.
Man, if these mics weren't so expensive, I'd tell you to drop it. Love it.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off Byron, and I'm just come with this. The easiest way for black men to protect black women is for us to start creating and looking down upon violence of any type. It's just that simple. The easiest way to protect black women is to down violence. And so to applaud violence in this aspect, it's a black man, right? Newsflash, we don't get any special training. We don't get a special pill. We don't have a special hormone to teach us how to disseminate our emotions and how to be violent or nonviolent. It is a personal choice we make. And depending on how we feel and how we look at situations, we make our decisions off of that. If Chris Rock was Wanda Sykes and he went up there and slapped the shit out of Wanda Sykes for making that exact same joke, for defending his black queen, he hit a black woman. Oh no, now it's a big deal. What are we applauding here? Are we applauding violence? When somebody feels offended, they have the right to react how they want. Because that was another thing. It's like, well, you can't judge how someone reacts once you throw the first punch, or it's like, if you hit me and I hit you harder, it is part of life. We have to get to a point where we're like, it's all or nothing. And if you choose to make that decision, you pay the consequences. It's all about, is it worth it? If somebody offended Z, Tab, Jacelyn, and we decided to go against what we know is probably going to, in the long run, work best for us, and we decided to turn violent, and there was backlash, or there was some kind of, something's going to happen. None of us can go around slapping anybody.
I try to tell somebody
there's going to be a consequence, right?
Yeah.
And we have to deal with that. Yeah. Unless there's imminent danger, and you use that word, Byron, imminent danger to her, that's not acceptable. I'm not talking about Wil. Wil made his choice. I'm talking about the people who are glorifying his action. So this is the same person. If Jada would have hurt his feelings deeply, that would have been his breaking point. At the red table, when she mentioned entanglement, and he would have reached across the table and slapped the shit out of her. Is that okay? Or is it okay only when I'm protecting a black woman? So those were my things. It's like, man, how are we justifying this? It's violence is wrong, or violence is right or acceptable when we want to make it right acceptable. Another thing that, and you probably heard me say this a couple of times or saw me say this, is I'm not saying Jada is at fault, that Jada could have stopped this or Jada had something to do with this. But if we want to keep beating that drum of him protecting her and they're a couple together, I haven't seen Jada step up and defend him anyway. She didn't even have to condone his actions. Solidarity speaks volumes.
Just something as simple as reaching out and grabbing his arm, like don't get up. Like,
she might not know her husband's gonna slap the shit out of Chris Rock. What I'm saying is, Monday morning, us waking up to a tweet saying, I don't condone violence, but I love the fact that my husband protected me and we will deal with this together, the consequences that come through. Like something. It's been a week.
Because he's getting some consequences already.
It's been a week. Yeah. All she said is, we're healing.
This is the season for healing, and I'm here for it. And
so
trash.
And I'm gonna get backlash like, oh, now we're making her the bad guy. No, what I'm saying is, if we're talking about them being a couple and being in this together, because he just jeopardized his career, because whatever it takes, I'm gonna defend my wife. Let's say that was his thought process, because that's the narrative that a lot of people are going with. I haven't seen anything from her ever, but in this situation specifically saying that we're together and let me come to my husband's aid. That is what a couple does. That is what somebody a group that are together does. They're going to be in this. We're in this. That could have changed so much. But we didn't see any of that. And they're going to talk about it on the red table, at the red table.
It's one last entity that I don't want to let off the hook, and that is the Academy Award itself. So there's a video on social media, I think it's maybe about a year old. There's this white girl beating up on this, bullying this Muslim girl. It looks like at a lunch table. She keeps shoving her head. The Muslim girl is not fighting back. All the students around her are laughing. They think it's funny, right? No teacher comes and step in. She does this about 5 or 6 times, just pushing her head. I guess this black girl that sees it is like, okay, enough is enough. She proceeds to grab this white girl and mollywop her ass. All of a sudden, these same students that were laughing were like, oh my God. A teacher steps in and breaks it up, right? That speaks to what happened here. Nobody cares when it's a black a black victim, no matter who the perpetrator is. We said that when it came to R. Kelly and his victims, the victims were black women. Chris Rock is a black man, he's a victim. Nobody ever cares when it's a black victim. I feel like, and I know we always bring race to something, and I'm bringing it to this. If that was one of America's favorite white comedians, and Wil Smith had done the same thing after they made the same joke, that show would have been paused. And then they came out with a lie because they said we asked Wil to leave. I don't believe that. They asked him to leave and he refused. Their original statement was they thought about asking him to leave. Either way, even if they asked him to leave and he refused, ain't no damn refusal. If he had a slapped Jerry Seinfeld, his ass would be behind bars right now still.
Mm-hmm.
And another way to look at that, if Jerry Seinfeld had slapped Chris Rock, would our black community be upholding him because he protected his wife? It's we don't have to, but I always examine those things. Like, what kind of mixed messages are we sending each other?
Yeah, they did nothing, and that was deplorable to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a man, I have to check my temper, my ego all the time. And it's okay for me to hit certain people, but it's not okay for me to hit other people. But the harm mentally, emotionally could be just as damaging from either person. You know, honestly, I don't think anybody could hurt me emotionally more than my wife. But there's no reason ever, excusable, for me to put my hands on her. Byron can call me just something out of the blue and hurt my feelings or hurt my pride, and me and him can fight, and it's cool. You know, like, we have to just set the message straight.
Yeah.
Violence, no.
What did Whoopi say? Keep your hands to yourself. And she got all kind of backlash for that. Like, she was just saying,
it's simple. It's just simple. I mean, it sounds like a punk, and you know, what if somebody? I get it. Now, if I make that choice to do something violent, then you deal with the consequences. That simple. The fact that he has to resign, he chose to resign from the academy. I hate to see it, but it is what it is. I can't really support. I'm gonna put it this way, and it's gonna be full. I support Wil Smith in his journey and his healing. I hope that brother gets better, right? I hope Jada finds whatever she's looking for, and she finds happiness, and that her strength comes from somewhere as well. I hope Chris Rock gets over. I hope everybody does well. But at the same time, you deal with the consequences of your actions. And that it's just that simple. I can support you in your healing and your journey, but I can also be okay with the consequences that come with it.
Right. So, and this segues into my question really, really well. Did you have something else, Buff?
I was going to say, I don't want to see him canceled, though. As wrong as I think Wil Smith was, I can't ignore and erase everything else he did in his entire career and let this one moment define him. And for people that are on my side that are defending Chris Rock, I step away from them when they want to cancel Wil Smith. I don't want to cancel him.
Yeah, because Chris Rock didn't cancel Will. Chris Rock didn't press charges. Chris Rock said, I understand this black man had a breaking point and he did something he didn't need to do. He doesn't need to go to jail for it. He needs to get help. We need to figure this out. My undisclosed amount that I'm going to get behind the scenes is going to work for me. And we're going to keep this thing rocking. And I love that. And so I don't like that Will resigned from the academy because of that. I think we need more black men or black women or people of color in the academy so that we can get more Oscars, so that we can get a fair shake when we're getting looks at for best actor and best movie, best director, and all of those things that, you know, we traditionally have just been overlooked because it's a black film. You know, I want to stay away from that.
Seinfeld would have slapped Chris Rock and resigned. You would have been just as adamant about like he shouldn't resign.
No, I wouldn't have been.
Okay.
I mean, let's throw it out there.
Okay,
no.
it's cool. It's cool. I get it. I just want to make sure.
I wouldn't have said he needed to resign either. I wouldn't have pushed for him to resign. I wouldn't have tried to cancel him. Anything. But I'm just saying, no, if he had resigned, I'd be like, man, I don't care. You know, but
yeah, I'd rather him resign than getting expelled and then can't come back. He can probably come back.
Right,
He'll come back.
right.
They'll have some kind of in the next 5 years.
So segueing into my question about this, Denzel, after the slap, they say Denzel walked over and calmed him down, and he said that, you know, when you're at your highest, that's when the devil comes for you. And Will's won this Oscar. He's had Wil Smith 4th of July. That was his thing. I don't know if you guys have read the book yet, or that he kind of talked about that. 4th of July was Wil Smith weekend. He always dropped his movies on 4th of July. So I want to ask you guys, is Will the GOAT now? Everybody has their Sidney Poitier. They have Denzel. Has Will surpassed Denzel in our eyes, right? Denzel was the GOAT in our eyes. Sidney Poitier for our parents and maybe grandparents. But is Will the GOAT?
In acting?
In acting.
No.
What?
No. You think it's close? It's not even close.
Really?
Yes. No.
Speak on it. Tell me.
No. I just don't think he has the number of quality roles in films under his belt like Denzel has. Like Denzel has so many that you forget. Denzel played a character so good one time that there are some people that think his image in Malcolm X is Malcolm X. Like, no. He's a good actor, but no.
Will has more blockbuster movies. Will has more great movies because of the movie itself. Like you mentioned Independence Day. That is a blockbuster film. Like the money they poured into it. Mm-hmm. You take Will out of that movie and it was still so much going on in that movie. It's iRobot, like it's so much I don't think Denzel's ever had a movie where that was that much money invested in it. Like you got to think. No. Denzel's movies are about the character. Will's moments are about the moment. The closest thing, Will's best movie when it comes to that, I'll give him two. It's going to be
I know one you're gonna say probably. I was gonna say Pursuit of Happiness. Pursuit of Happiness.
No. It was because it just focused on him, and even Pursuit of Happiness was just kind of weird. He seemed like a character to me. Yeah. Was
the one where the post-apocalyptic one where he was by himself?
Book of Eli.
He had the dog or whatever.
Book of Eli.
That's Denzel.
Oh, you're right.
That was Will.
No, that's Denzel.
No, Book of Eli is Denzel. Yep. Book of Eli.
That's how good Denzel is.
Not Book of Eli. No, Will had one too, where they had like the zombies and stuff.
Yeah.
I am something like that.
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a movie where it was just him. Book of Eli had a whole nother supporting cast. It was just Will. Will had to carry that whole movie, and
don't you discount that dog, Razi?
Denzel was so good in that movie that you didn't realize Denzel was blind until the end of the goddamn movie.
Right.
It's like, this dude's blind. Because Denzel becomes the character. I don't know. Denzel is just Will might be the GOAT of action movies for the. I feel like his.
I will say, Will is the GOAT of this generation, right? Like that's hands down. Like Denzel is our generation, but most of our kids, Haley isn't gonna say Denzel is the GOAT. She's probably gonna say Will is the GOAT.
But what movie is she talking about? Because if she goes back to Independence Day, that's back in our generation. Independence Day is 20 years old or more.
Yeah, but when you talk about Bad Boys, when you talk about...
That's like 95. That came out in 95.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's not her generation.
Most of Denzel's... but most of Denzel's... She knows those, though. She knows Bad Boys. She knows Pursuit of Happiness. She knows Ali. She knows all of his like later movies that came out. She knows what's the one where he's the superhero? Hancock. Right? She knows what's the one
that was trash.
Hancock wasn't bad. Hancock wasn't bad. What's the one where he Hitch? Right?
I think Jamie Foxx is a better actor than Will Smith.
Wow. Hot take.
Whoa. Oh man.
Wow, Ray?
Oh man.
Jamie doesn't get tapped as many roles.
Will Smith would say, I'll see your Ray and I'll raise you Ali.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Ray was just
Ray was just, it was up there.
And what's funny is the better the actor, because they always do this at the end of a movie, is they'll show the real character, the real person.
Yeah,
it's like in my mind, Ray, same with the right after Malcolm X, was I see Jamie Foxx when I think of Ray.
Yeah.
You know, just because like when you'll see it, we're like, hey, who's this guy playing Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
I don't think Jamie hasn't had as many. I think Jamie has more talent and could be a better actor if he was casting more roles.
Like I
can see Will play any of Denzel's roles.
American Gangster, no. Maybe not even. I don't even know if he could pull off Equalizer, even though he has a shot, but I don't know.
Yeah, like Equalizer, Man on Fire, all those were kind of the same character he was playing, though.
The Equalizer and Man on Fire, that was, yeah.
I have heard that Denzel personality, or just, I don't know, his persona is so big,
his
that
mannerisms and everything. He plays Denzel. All of them, like Training Day, all of them are kind of the same character, and they're Denzel. Like, and that's like I don't discount Will's range. Will has range. Don't think Will doesn't have range. He's done, everything from very serious roles, action flicks, to comedies or drama, rom-coms. So he's done all of that. Where Denzel has stuck to kind of his lane of drama, semi-action. And so for me, I say it. I think Will's the GOAT.
Oh my God, Razi. You've had some bad takes on this show. This one's up there.
I don't know, bro. He's starting to. When you think about his caliber of work
and his
when
breath.
He can go from his Pursuit of Happiness to Bad Boys, Ali, like he's done it all. Like he doesn't have a. Like I couldn't see Denzel in Bad Boys.
No, or
I can't see him
in iRobot.
I can't see him in a complete Men in Black. I mean, I can see him in a comedic role like that and still be cool or not cool. Like Denzel is a certain level of suave that he is. Like you said, his character is almost the same character. He's always Denzel.
I think they have nuances though, because like Philadelphia is nothing like Man on Fire, and then you got to go all the way back to like A Soldier Story. Even before that, Glory. We just said Book of Eli. Like he may not have the comedic roles, but what he does is so well. It's almost like comparing Tom Brady to Cordell Stewart. Cordell Stewart did more things. He caught the ball. He ran the ball. I think he punted a couple of times, but he ain't no goddamn GOAT. All Tom Brady does is throw the ball, and he the GOAT. But I mean, hey, y'all think Will cool? Go.
I don't know, man. I'm undecided on this one, man. I don't think I've ever left this split. But what do you have for us, man?
I know we're running kind of against the time. Well, actually, we're doing pretty good on time. But I don't really so much have a question. A listener inboxed us a couple of weeks ago and wanted us to speak on this. And they acknowledged that we have spoken on it before. But I just kind of wanted to get some updated opinions on from you guys. And the fact that we have like an actual person to like look at. So like Lia Thomas, the swimmer, who went swimming as a man, if I'm not mistaken, she ranked, well, at the time he was like number 426 in the country. Transition to a woman, number 1. Now I've had people, I've talked about this a little bit at work, and I've had people say, well, when they decide to do that, they take things that suppress their testosterone and all that stuff. And I'm like, got it. But at the end of the day, 426, number 1. Those are numbers you cannot ignore. And so the listener wanted us to speak on what are our deep thoughts on men transitioning to women and competing in female athletics, because someone made an extreme post. It was extreme. I did chuckle, but they said, imagine Mike Tyson saying, I now identify as a woman, and getting in the ring with your daughter. You know what I mean? So what are you guys' thoughts on, the listener wanted our thoughts on, they didn't specifically name Lia Thomas, but their question came around the same time that Lia Thomas hit the news. So what are you guys' thoughts on this?
I'll say this. It's kind of that same thing. I don't know if you guys remember Serena talking about when everybody's talking about she was the GOAT, she's the GOAT, she's the GOAT. And she has a very valid case, right? That she is the GOAT athlete. But she said she went in and she was practicing with, I think it was like a top 50 male tennis player. And she was like, he hit the ball so much harder. It was so much harder for her to volley and actually return things from him. And it was a really good match. Top 50, right? And for her to be the GOAT, and with a top 50 person, not even top 10, not a top 20, there is differences. There's physical differences in them. For me, I feel like what we need is a trans category. Same way we have weight classes and everything like that. Maybe it's a mixed trans category, so that transitioning men that go to women and transitioning women that go to men end up in this trans category, because hey, you take testosterone pills, so that you can increase your testosterone, you're going to be in this, and men, you take the estrogen pills or whatever it is, suppress your testosterone, you're going to end up in this category. And so now you have a category, it's a trans category that you can compete and say, hey, and maybe it's like boxing, is weight classes, right? And I think that's what Fred was talking about when he was on. He was like, maybe there's weight classes, and you say, hey, at once you make it to top 50 or whatever in this category, maybe you can transition up to the men's category or whatever. But you're not gonna go into the women's category if you're in the top 10 from this category or whatever. Maybe the bottom 10 or bottom 15% can transition down into a women's category or whatever, and work it that way, so that you do take their actual physical acumen, what they're doing, and they can transition into those if they want to, and it become kind of a weight class type thing with the genders. So I think it has to be something like that. It can't be like you said, I'm number 400 in the men's category, I transition and now I'm number 1 in the women's category, and everybody think that's okay. Right, everybody think that's right. The idea of that they are 100% women, they're not physically, genetically the same as a woman, and we can't ignore that. I mean, I get it. In their mind, in their psyche, they can do that, and they can change their physical outward appearance, but there are things that just they're differences. They're always going to be differences, and they have to, in life you can work around those, right? If a woman is fighting a man and he's physically stronger, it's no difference than me fighting somebody that's physically stronger than me. I got to use my speed, my agility. I got to go for different pressure points, that type of thing. I have to fight them differently than, say, a buff, right? Buff, you can fight the stronger guy.
Wow. Okay.
Straight up. So that's the thing. And so I think we have to look at it with a very critical eye to say what's the best thing for all parties, not just because you want to transition and you get to.
Well, I'm gonna go backwards, because we always talk about that one athlete. What about everybody else? Because there was an article about the person who finished, I think, number 16. And the person who finished number 16, they take the top 15 to compete. That person who's competed, they were senior in college, missed their last opportunity. And everybody behind that. It's we want to protect this one person, but we forget about everybody else. Like you said, you forget about your daughter who has to get in a ring with Michelle Tyson, right? We forget about that. They've trained their whole lives to be competitive at this event, this discipline. They have their PRs. They keep setting these milestones. They keep pushing to hit certain limits and stuff like that, because they know their body. They know where they can peak. They know this is the highest they can reach. In the same time, you have somebody who Razi's PR is my worst day, but we're competing against each other. And if we're both men, then that's just different, you know? But the fact that what happened to the number 2 woman, the person who finished second? She doesn't get to stand on top of that stand, that medal stand. And she did everything right to be the fastest biological woman in that competition. Yet and still, who are we talking about?
Lia Thomas.
Who finished number 2? You don't know. You don't know. That's my point. Like we there has to be a way. And I took it away from just Lia Thomas. I went back to the whole Kardashian.
Bruce Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner.
Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Oh, Caitlyn Jenner. The fact that when he won Time Woman of the Year, the fact that there are women who dealt with, and start by saying this, there are challenges that we all face, especially when you're a minority of any type. Doesn't supersede anybody else's challenges, but there are challenges if Bruce Jenner at the time was Caitlyn Jenner his whole life and had to compete had to live his life as Bruce Jenner. Now, granted, that was a pretty good life to be the best athlete in the world, the millionaire, like all the riches that came with it, all the success that came with that, being on a Wheaties box. But there was a challenge, not being yourself. I can never experience that. I can never really empathize too much with it. I don't know that challenge. But I've seen women. Been around women my whole life. I know the challenges they face. I know the challenges they face as young girls, the challenges your daughter's going to face, my daughter's going to face, when it comes to being that awkward stage as a girl, going through puberty, going through all those things and having glass ceilings, making sure you don't wear anything too tight. How do you make yourself be taken seriously? All these challenges that women face to get to the pinnacles of success, to be Time Woman of the Year. There is something that all these women shared to get where they're at. That she just kind of, she didn't have those same challenges. And that's the same thing here, is the fact that there's certain limitations and challenges that these women face to become exceptional athletes that this person did not face.
Yeah. I mean, and it goes beyond just the biological and growing up and the society piece of it. It's literally an economic piece. Men's athletics gets 2-3 times more funding. They have better workout facilities. They have better coaches. Like all of that he got a chance to grow up with that, right? With that leg up, with all of that, and then transition and says, oh, now it's time to run with the women. And so now it's like, now she can run with the women and go, and you've seen it, like some of the Olympics, the women's Olympic, the things that they gave them. They had like 3 weight benches, and
that was big. The difference in the training facilities. Yeah,
like all of that. So I mean, when you talk about growing up, I'm not so much worried about the hurdles that they had. She had to grow up because she grew up as a him. She didn't have to go past those that girls had to grow up with, because everybody has their, a poor black girl is going to have different hurdles than a rich white girl, right? So it's everybody's going to have their growing pains and their hurdles and their obstacles that they have to go. This person grew up trans, like feeling like they were out of place the entire time. They were in the wrong body. So there's hurdles that person had to go across and get over. But I really kind of think that when we really think about it, though, it comes down to there are differences. There are just differences in how they raised, how they grew up, the level of interest and funding and everything else that they got, as well as the biological differences that just are there, and it's glaring. And no amount of chemicals is gonna like 100% change that and make you okay. Now you're biologically a woman now, because you still have that musculature that's there. You still have that that bone mass that's there. All of that is just it's science, and you don't, that doesn't change just because you you suppress a little testosterone.
Right. And Razi, you spoke on the some of the financial aspects of it. You guys said everything that needed to be said. I'll just say that the great philosopher Lil Boosie said that it's going to become a cash grab to where parents are going to encourage their sons to identify as girls so that they can get scholarships easily in athletics and things like that and eventually make it to the pros. I don't foresee that, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there. That's what the great philosopher Lil Boosie said.
He's taking it too far, but
yeah.
It's not even winning the race. What if there's only 15 scholarships?
Yeah.
Jasmine's number 16.
That would absolutely piss me off, but
you did everything. You put a funding and all that stuff in. Whoa,
yeah.
That could be, and that's truly if they're transgender. Like it could be a money play. It could be like, look, man, you or woman, you need to be a woman for the next 4 years.
Yeah. What was it, Joanna Man?
Right, yeah. We ain't got Florida State money. You want to go to Florida State? This is what you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's all I got, man. Let's do the parting shots. That's all I got.
Man, all I got is I want to say parents of young athletes, please, please, please cut your coaches a break. Because, man, so I coach Ollie's soccer team. I think I mentioned that. And,
how much soccer have you played in your life, Razi?
Not a lot. Just recreationally. So, but not even that. Like, I've only had the kids. We just started. This is our first game. It was supposed to be our second game, but we had to cancel because of rain. So first week was canceled. First week of practice was canceled. Second week of practice was canceled. I rescheduled practice for Friday for a makeup session. So I've literally practiced with the kids, half the team, because only 6 kids showed up, half the team for an hour before this game. And parents were like, and we played the best team in the league, like hands down best team in the U8 league. And parents were like, why aren't the kids on offense? Why aren't they playing their lanes? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? I'm like, look, it's good enough for me to just have the kids not chase the ball and lump together. Like if I'm doing that, I'm doing good. So at this age, that's really all that you can kind of expect, especially when I've only had them for an hour for half the team. But it was like there was pressure this Saturday. Like after the game, bruh, I had to come home and drink a beer. And y'all know I don't really drink for real. So I was like, woo. Like, so parents, please understand that these are parent coaches. They don't get paid for this, and cut them a break. They're doing everything they can. They're volunteers. That's all I got, man.
Are they about to cancel your contract?
I know, man.
Yeah, Razi, we as the U8 parent delegation have decided that we no longer need your services.
That's a good one. My parting shot is brief too. I'm going to go ahead and speak this into existence. Congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson on becoming the first African-American female Supreme Court justice. Well deserved. You put up with a lot of stuff during the hearing, so very, very happy for you. It's always great to see history. But in that sense, a lot of people did not like how she was questioned and treated during the hearing. I kind of spoke on it, I think, last episode. If we want that to stop, we as a country, at some point, we've got to start rooting for political parties and politicians. And what I mean by that is you ignore the bad that your party does, and your only defense is, yeah, they did that, but what about when the Republicans did that? Or yeah, they did that, but what about when the Democrats did that? It's like we are rooting for political parties, and when people say Americans want bipartisanship right now, no, they don't. No, they don't. That's almost like an Alabama fan saying, hey, I want Auburn to get just as many great athletes as we get. No, they don't. Alabama fans wouldn't care if me, Ferg, and Razi suited up for the Auburn Tigers right now and try to play all the skill positions so they can mollywop our ass. No, they don't care. And that's how we are with these political parties. We need to start calling it how we see it, no matter who the party is, and hold them accountable, because until we do, we're always going to get these political shows where they try to score political points. We didn't get hardly anything of substance from this Supreme Court nominee, especially from one side in particular, in their questions asking about pedophilia and all this kind of stuff like that, and holding up kids' books that are so-called critical race theory books. It was completely silly. The whole process has become useless, just like our politics in general. Like, the reason why we don't get authentic politicians is because they're using focus groups and poll numbers to see what we so-called want to hear. Don't tell us what we want to hear. Tell us what we need to hear. And until we stop rooting for that D or that R, that red or that blue, we're going to keep getting these political games and nothing is going to change. Go ahead.
It's getting even worse, especially with this new rhino movement.
Yeah.
That is just a whole nother. And this is not even an attack on the Republicans. It's more so saying that we are becoming so one-sided, so follow me, that it's going to be very dangerous. So if you don't know what rhinos are, it's Republicans in name only. Gotta go do some research on that and see who their candidates are and who their leader is. One guess. But no, it's very interesting you said that. I listen to the Daily quite often. It's just shocking, some of the things they discuss, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But two things really fast. One, I would be remiss if I didn't take this time to thank everybody again. It's been a week and a day since we buried my father, and the love and the support is still ringing in. People are still reaching out and checking on my family and I, and definitely appreciate it. To everybody who's called, sent a letter, resolution, text message, flowers, food, money, whatever, on behalf of myself and my family, thank you. To inspire you on air, to that family, I want to thank you for being patient with us. My co-hosts were taking my best interest at heart, and I wasn't ready to record. It was just so much going on that even when I thought I was ready, I wasn't ready. So that is the reason that we delayed a couple of weeks, and we had a lot going on in between anyway. And I apologize. You know, you guys have been great supporters. I apologize that we start setting this thing up and then we kind of ghosted for a second, but we are here. And we thank you for this opportunity. To our Inspire You fans, our listeners, get used to hearing our voice. We'll be here weekly. So Inspire You on air. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to all our listeners, just not you guys, to all our listeners and supporters. We apologize. We'll do a better job of making sure we get you content. And also, if we're not going to have content in time, we'll figure something out for you. We might have some guest co-hosts. Maybe we can do that one day. We'll do that next time. All right. 3 Brothers No Sense. Thank you. 6 Rules of Podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.